Hey gang, Will here from the Ashland Fly Shop with a fishing report for you for the middle of May. One of our favorite times of year for sure as we transition, fully into kind of later spring, early summer fishing, which is really for trout fishing in our region, in the Northern California region is really, I think, the best of the year. We get most of our hatches at this time of year, and we can just see some of our, some of the best, most consistent fishing. So as I have been doing the last few weeks, I really encourage you to dust off those rods and get after it now for the next few weeks. So let's take a look at what's going on around the region. Upper Rogue River, we're all waiting with bated breath for the salmon fly hatch to begin. And as of a couple of days ago, the bugs were out flying around, maybe a few fish looking at them, but really just kind of the first sightings of the adult salmon flies flying in the air and stuff. So that's a great sign. They're right on time, right on cue. So that's a good deal. So it officially opens the 22nd of May, and then we'll be really into that good fishing. That'll really coincide with some of the best fishing then as we go for the next couple of weeks. So that's something we're really looking forward to. And then with that, the holy water, and that tends to last a little bit longer. So now's a good time on the holy water to be looking around for early salmon fly risers, early fish looking at those bugs. I would be poking around up there. We're having a little bit of a cold snap here with some rain, which is awesome. But we'll be back into our warm temps pretty quick. And the rain can definitely play havoc with those hatches, so you want to watch that a bit, but I just fish right on through it. I've heard so many great reports of fishing salmon flies in the rain when there's no bugs around during the hatch that I think I would just, stay after it. But so the holy water you can expect to last a little bit longer. We usually see that going into mid-June, sometimes even into that third week of June with the salmon fly hatch with the bugs looking for or the fish looking for the bugs. But the peak on the river itself will be, late May into that first week of June, first 10 days of June, and we are stoked about it. So please give us a call. We're happy to talk to you about it because it really has a lot of different faces. So we'll be happy to talk to you about it. But that's coming right up. Stillwater fishing is really taken off. I've heard some kind of conflicting reports out of our closer lakes here like Howard Prairie and Hyatt, but I have heard some good reports as well. So, if you've got the time, you can go and put a tube in or a little boat in and fish some of the shallows for the next few weeks. I think it'd be a pretty good bet. Stripping little leeches, fishing chironomids and stuff in the, drop-off spots and stuff. There's some nice holdover fish to be had up there. Our buddy Paul McDonald, great local guide, has been fishing early Klamath Lake stuff, and he's been doing pretty well. He's been finding fish, some really quality fish, and multiple fish a day in the Rocky Point area. So Klamath Lake is starting to pick up and starting to happen a bit. As that lake warms up, we'll see a little bit more of that activity, but I think the next few weeks would be a pretty good bet there. The Williamson opens the 22nd. From Chiloquin to the lake, so that's a pretty big deal. That fishery out there being open is a real popular spot for us, and that doesn't fish great right away, but it's always got fish in it, and it won't be long before we start see fish pouring in there out of the lake. So that's a good bet. Staying with Stillwater, I veered off it there a little bit, but Diamond Lake, I've had some very good reports from Diamond Lake. So a lot of folks from Southern Oregon go up there and fish, and it sounds like it's off to a pretty good start. I've heard a few very good early reports from up there. So I think starting to look around, I know we'll start to see more people fishing up there. But Diamond Lake would be a very good bet. If you're fly fishing, the south end is really a place that people really like. Some of the creek mouths there, that's a pretty popular spot. So I would assume that would be getting going pretty good right now too. Northern California, I'm always jumping up and down about this. It's just so close to us here from Southern Oregon. It's just such a wonderful place. Lots of things going on, lots of great fishing happening down there. I was at Hat Creek about a week and a half ago. I thought it fished very well in the Powerhouse 2 riffle area. I was really impressed with it. I was really impressed with the health of the fish, the quality of the fish. I got lots of takes and stuff. So Hat Creek is always a good early season bet. I'd be going down there now until at least mid-June. I'm sure they're into salmon flies now, which those fish can kind of, you know, take or leave a little bit. I've never seen them just go nuts for it, but on the lower end around Lake Britain, we definitely see a bit more of that salmon fly activity and fish looking for those bugs a little bit more down there. In the flat sections of the river, you know, Carbon Flats area and stuff, we typically don't see them looking for those bugs too much, but that's a very nice place to fish. Those complex mayfly hatches and BWO hatches in there are really nice. And the riffle's great for, you know, some dry fly activity and a lot of nymphing activity. So Hat Creek is wonderful. Pitt, I haven't really heard anything from. I have to assume it's probably fishing very, very well. You know, that's just a real fish factory down there. It's a rugged canyon, but you know, nymphing is really going to be your best bet down there. Although this time of year, if you've got a good spot for it, you can see some good hatches down there and see those fish looking up. So the Pitt River is definitely one to, you know, one to consider and one to fish. McLeod, everyone's favorite. The McLeod, I've definitely heard there's, you know, people down there fishing for sure. I've talked to a couple folks that have been down there. It sounds like it's off to a pretty good start. This is the time of year, again, when you can see, like I said, a lot of unique kind of hatches, mayfly hatches in there. So this is probably some of the best dry fly fishing of the year. In my box, I would definitely have, you know, smaller PMDs, even some larger green drake style, even brown drake style, anything kind of a larger mayfly. I've seen some pretty unique large mayflies down there this time of year. Maybe some golden stones. I typically remember that activity happening more mid-June for salmon flies and golden stones down there in the Ash Camp area, probably a little bit earlier down in the Adina area, but there might be a few early bugs flying around. But if you've got a nice pool and you're there in the right spot at the right time, you could see some very, very good hatches down there. So it's worth having a bunch of dries, and as you know, it's a great nymphing river, so so that's always going to be game on down there. But it's looking good. The flows are looking good, and that's just a really good bet right now, the McLeod. Upper Sacramento, another of our favorite places to fish, very close to us here. The Cantera Loop section would probably be my best bet right now for dry fly activity. I would not be surprised to see some golden stone salmon fly activity happening up there right about now. That would be a pretty good bet up there. It's smaller water, but you can get some very good early season hatches. We're going to go through a period of runoff down there, I'm sure. I'm not sure if it's really started in earnest yet, but it's typically going to affect the river a little bit lower down. I like to really wait until that's just kind of tapering off to go really hit it down there. I think that as that's settling out, that's when we really see some of the best fishing of the year happen down there with the nymphing and the water getting smaller. But I've had some great dry fly fishing, a little bit harder to find the dry fly fishing down on the Upper Sac, but you can find it. Some really good PMD hatches that start a little bit earlier this time of year, and they get real compressed as the year goes on, but there's some good PMD hatches, some nice pink Albert hatches down there. So I've seen green drakes. So if you know some dry fly spots, some glides that you really like, now would be the time of year to be there in the evening and possibly expect to see some of that dry fly activity. Nymphing throughout the day, such a wonderful river for nymphing, just a wonderful place to fish. So Upper Sac, I would say Cantera Loop immediately, and then looking forward to whatever little runoff we're going to get after that, you know, popping into that rest of the section going downstream of Dunsmuir and all down there. I love that water. Yeah, that's what we're looking at for Northern California. I'll keep you updated as we get more reports, but that's just kind of getting going down there. Just a quick Upper Klamath river below Iron Gate Dam. You know, that's an interesting place and a place that we've liked to go in years past for salmon flies. They're really doing all kinds of crazy stuff with the water. Last time I looked at the flows, it was up around 4,000 or something, which, you know, isn't unrealistic, but it's pretty darn high for floating through there. That stonefly, salmon fly hatch has been a little harder to put your finger on. It typically coincides with the rogue hatch. Maybe it's a little bit earlier, but that's a really cool place to go. If the flows were right, I would say it's a good bet, but the flows have been really weird. So if you really love to fish down there, let us know. We can kind of keep an eye on it and see what's going on. It's definitely worth going and checking out if the conditions are right. It's just been a little hard to predict, but that can be a fun one too. As we've mentioned earlier in the month, in the season, we are booking Sugar Creek Ranch in partnership with the Fly Shop, and that is such a great, this would just be the peak time down there. So this is a little private water area in Northern California that, if that's of interest to you, we'd love to talk to you about a series of small lakes and ponds in there that have some wonderful, wonderful fish and just some excellent fishing. God, really quality fish down there. So love to talk to you about that. I'm sure it's just going bananas right now. I'm sure it's just great, great fishing down there. This should be some of the best fishing of the year, you know, going into like the first part of July. So love to talk to you about getting you a couple rod days down there. If that's of interest to you, give us a call. That's what we're looking at for the region, and we're just dying to be out there. So get out there for us, make some reports for us, and let us know what you're seeing out there. But man, it's just this is a great time of year to fish. You know, once we get past this time into the peak of the summer, the warm days, the dog days, you know, everything kind of slows down for trout before we get into the fall. So now is the time for the next 4, 6 weeks, 8 weeks to really get out and get after it. So I encourage you to do it. And if we can help you at all, please let us know. Thank you.